Hi everyone and welcome. Today we will be exploring the inner and outer masculine. So today's workshop will be about healing the masculine template. So for those of you that are new to this, let me give you an overview and explain about the masculine and the feminine aspects, which you have. We all have masculine and feminine aspects, men and women and children. And it's not gender related in any way or form. So for us as women, especially nowadays, we will often find ourselves in masculine energy. Now, when I'm referring to masculine energy, I'm referring to being in the headspace a lot. Always thinking, always doing. So masculine is very much about problem solving, solutions, doing, action, providing, kind of push energy. Feminine is very much the opposite of that. And this is why I say a lot of women now are very much in their masculine, because in a way society kind of forces us to be there, or there's an expectation that you should be there. But for women, being in your masculine is counterproductive because it completely disconnects you from the feminine, and it doesn't feel good because that's not where your natural state of being should be. So if we were going to talk about the feminine aspect of you, we would be referring to relaxed energy, divine energy, juicy, delicious, good, pleasurable feelings coming from within, a feeling of trust, a feeling of ease, a feeling of peace, feeling of play, feeling of pleasure, feeling of joy. And it's not just feelings as well, it's about actually implementing action around those things that actually replenish inwardly. With the masculine, it's very much about outward, it's about push, it's about providing, giving. The feminine is about receiving, going inwards, replenishing. So we talk about the emotional state of women in self-care. That is where a lot of women struggle because they're very much primarily in the masculine when we need to be in the feminine to consistently replenish. That can often feel like being in a very unsafe space. I hear a lot of women that say, oh, I can't be in the feminine all the time. Like, that's ridiculous. What would I get done? And it's not a case of being in the feminine all the time, because we actually do need both. But it's a case of being in that empowered feminine state and knowing when to activate it and when not to, right? Both masculine and feminine work hand in hand. Okay, so they need each other. But where you'll find that you maybe feel burnt out is where you're primarily in the masculine. And also where you might find that you're not being as productive, or things are just not unfolding around you due to lack of action, might be actually because you're in the feminine too much. So we need to have that balance. Now, along with the aspects masculine and feminine, you also can go a bit deeper with that, and you can have wounded masculine, wounded feminine. You can also have empowered masculine and empowered feminine. So wounded and empowered are on two very different vibrational scales for each of them. So some examples of the wounded masculine would be, or examples of where maybe you've got the wounded masculine within you or externally or wherever, is wounded masculine is not reliable, not good with money, in and out, there's a lack of consistency, whereas empowered masculine is very stable. It's a very stable, safe container. With wounded feminine, it could be somebody that's very much, again, consistently pushing and pushing and pushing to make things happen because of a lack of trust. And because of that, she burns herself out and the cycle continues. Whereas with empowered feminine, we have somebody that's very much relaxed in her energy, that she will know when to take the right action, and she'll also know when to lean back. So those are two very important aspects that we have within us that show up externally. And I just want to reinforce this again, is that it's not a case of you need one more than the other, or that, you know, you should primarily spend your time in one more than the other. It's a case of needing both to work together, to be in union, so that it naturally comes in and out when and how you need. So an example of this would be if you're a woman in business. So if you're a woman in business, you need your masculine, you need your empowered masculine energy, because your empowered masculine energy is the driving force and aspect of you that is going to make sure that stuff gets done, that, you know, you've sorted out the finances, that you've created the course, that you've sorted out the business side of things, you know, paperwork, money, all of that stuff. The feminine side of you, on a whole, tends to not come out when it comes to business and things like that. But she's in the background holding space and receiving the masculine as he shows up. And when you come home and you come home to your partner, that is where ideally would want the masculine to take a back seat and the feminine to step forward and provide that feminine essence within her relationship, because her partner already represents the masculine. So you wouldn't want masculine coming into the relationship, because that would create a vibrational mismatch for your partner and his masculine energy. So we do need both. It is so, so important. So now you understand how these aspects show up within. Know that this is how they show up externally too. So how your inner masculine or your inner feminine is within you, you will see a representation of that through the people you connect with, the situations that happen, and how you show up in the external as well. So it's super important that our templates are in a good space and that our templates are not fractured. So let's focus back on the masculine and how we can potentially heal that template. And that's what today is going to be about. We're going to focus primarily on the masculine, because the masculine aspect, masculine energy shows up in our lives in ways that a lot of people don't even realize. And this is why it's so important that that template is created in a way that is supporting you and supporting how you want your life to unfold. So you may ask, how do I know if I need to even heal my masculine? How do I know if there's a problem? So go back to basics. Your masculine template is essentially your belief system around the masculine. Your belief system comes from your experiences and the evidence that's been collected prior to that. But essentially that's what your templating is. And it would be the same for the feminine, okay? But that's how it's constructed. So here are some things and some examples that you may be experiencing or have experienced in three, get the right amount of fingers up, three main masculine areas in your life. And that is money, men, and I'm going to say one that shocks many people, mothering. Okay, so, and also actually just thinking about it as well, a lot of women, I'm gonna put this, I know this affects a lot of women in business, but in generally, a lot of women complain and say that, you know, they feel like they reach a stage in life and they kind of hit that glass ceiling, that they can't break through whatever it is that they're going through, that it's just reached a certain stage and it doesn't feel great. They want to move forward with it and it just feels stuck. Okay, that is also a sign of a fragmented masculine template as well. So some examples in terms of, let's even look at money. Okay, so this is a big one, especially if you've been raised in a home where money was tight, it wasn't flowing in, you were reprimanded for asking for more, you were just grown up in an environment where money was just not your friend. That will imprint on how you feel about money, which again is masculine, because money provides, right? So it could be a case where now you're in adulthood, you find it hard to make money, or money comes in, but it goes just as quickly. There is no real kind of relationship or strong connection there with money, like a trusting energy with money, that it will always come in when you need it or desire it, even better. So that's one example. Another example would be your relationships. So for many people, in fact, for the majority of people, your original masculine template will come from your father. Now, if you grew up with a father that was abusive, really domineering, didn't listen to you, didn't give you the nurturing and caring that you wanted, or was just present but emotionally not present, wasn't a strong energy in your life, then you will find that actually you carry that templating within you, and you might start finding yourself attracting in that kind of man on that vibration. So it could be that you go into relationships with men that are emotionally unavailable, or you find yourself drawn to men or connecting with men that are abusive. And again, that is a representation of your inner masculine template as well. And then we have mothering. Now, when I say mothering, I don't mean being a mother. There is a difference. And I think this is something that, I mean, I don't know, I've not come across any mother that hasn't done this, including myself, okay? So mothering from the standpoint of, and again, I just want to say mothering, and this doesn't just apply to kids, right? From the standpoint of being in your head, being very busy in your head, constantly telling the kids or your partner or people what to do, micromanaging all the time, just again, very busy, do energy, and in turn disabling the other person's ability for their masculine to show up. And again, this is unintentional, and we all do it unknowingly, but that's what happens. And it's masculine energy because it's a very much do, push, put out energy, and actually doesn't feel good. Because when I've spoken to lots of mums that have operated from that aspect, the main complaints are exhaustion, burnout, irritability, poor sleep, poor health, relationships falling apart. You know, it's not great. It's not a great energy because you're not feeling good in it. So those are some examples of the three main masculine areas that you've maybe had some experiences with or are currently experiencing yourself. And if you've had repeated issues, you know, or regular problems in these areas, again, that's another notification for yourself that there's a fragmented masculine energy there as well. Also, another thing that I've noticed as well that affects your masculine energy is if you've had a mother that's been very much in her masculine, or you've had a mother that has spoken badly of men, like, you know, men are dogs, or men are this, or men are, you know, beneath us, you know, that's kind of spoken in a way that actually isn't very empowering for herself or masculine men, that will affect how you perceive men as well. And again, in turn, affect your masculine template also. So Remembering again that how our inner masculine template resides is what will show up externally. So I want you to do this short activity for the moment. I want you to be really real and I want you to be really honest with yourself. Where do you feel and see that your own inner masculine may need some healing? Okay. I want you to then ask yourself, what do you really think and feel about men? Because here's why. I remember years ago being asked this question. I remember actually being asked by a psychic, actually. She went, do you even like men? And I thought, what are you trying to say? Are you asking if I prefer women, or, you know? She's like, no, like, well, do you even like men? I said, of course, I love men. I love men. But that wasn't the truth. Because what was really vibrating underneath it was, I'm scared of them. I don't trust them. I can't rely on them. They don't provide. They hurt me. Men are bad. Where was the evidence of this? I was in abusive relationships. I was attracting in really lower frequency men, wounded masculine men, right? And it was all a representation of my own masculine template that was being reflected back to me. So be really honest when you note this down. What do you really feel about men? Don't give what you think you should say. Tell me what really, really comes up. Note this down, what really comes up. Because the minute you start stepping into what's really going on in terms of your internal template, that's how you know what belief systems are playing out. And that takes you one step further to activating the desired inner masculine template. Okay. Another question I want you to ask yourself, how does motherhood feel for you if you are a mum? Or what has your experience of motherhood been like if you're not a mum and you've witnessed your own mother or women of that generation? What has that experience been like for you? Another question, do you feel supported? And again, I want you to be really, really honest with yourself with this. Do you actually feel fully supported? Remember, we're not going into head with this. We're going into heart. We're going from womb space, from relaxed feminine energy, being really true and authentic. Be honest with yourself in this moment. Do you feel supported by money? In your relationships? By men in general? How do these things show up for you or not show up? Take a few moments and really feel into that. Write down whatever comes up for you or note it down. And then we're going to do an exercise with this that really gets you to connect in with your own inner masculine and give you an idea of what's going on with your template. If you can, I'd like you to get in a relaxed position, as relaxed as possible, whether you're sitting down on a bed, wherever you are. I'd like you to close your eyes. And I'd like you to take some deep breaths in. So inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Another deep inhale through your nose. And exhale through your mouth. Keep focusing on your breath. Stay focused. And I want you, as you're doing your breath work, I want you to set the intention to connect with your inner masculine right now. And we do this without attachment, meaning we set the intention and we just allow things to flow. If for whatever reason you have issues connecting or you don't feel or sense anything, that's still okay. Still focusing on your breath, I want you to ask your inner masculine, where does he reside within you? Where does he reside within your body? Still focusing on your breath, I want you to bear in mind, if you notice any sensation anywhere in your body, that will give you an indication that your inner masculine is reaching out to you. Still focusing on your breath. You may sense something, you may feel something, you may see something, even with your eyes closed, anything that comes to you. It's not wrong, don't go into your head, just receive. And now I want you to ask him, why doesn't he step forward for you? Or better still, what does he need you to do to allow him to fully step in? Still focusing on your breath. See what comes up, feel what comes up. It may be a sensation, it may be a word. Whatever comes to you is right for you. When you feel you've received enough, still focusing on your breath, you can come back into the room and open your eyes. And that is an exercise that you can do. It's a really short exercise, as you've just witnessed. It's something you can do at any time in the day, but just a way of building that relationship with the inner masculine template and aspect within you. Just like you would be building the relationship with your external partner or with your child or whoever, it's still an important relationship to maintain as well. And again, we want to remember that the masculine template is formed from our belief systems. And our belief system comes from a particular situation or experience where we've collected the evidence. Now, remember, when these experiences are painful, that is what will create the fractured template. Okay? But when we're building on that now, when we're connecting with our inner masculine template and that aspect of us, what we can do is we can come away from pain and come into a space of connection and understanding and come towards healing. So this is why it's so, so important that this work is done. And, you know, the thing is, the fragmented template varies from woman to woman. So where I may have a template that is fractured in certain places with my inner masculine, it may be very, very different for you. it can be more fragmented in certain areas as well. So, for example, I see this a lot in the online world with businesses as well, especially women in business, is where they will have a strong templating around money. So money is masculine, where that will come through and that will feel good for them, and they're making lots of money and they're being provided for in that way. But often I see that for those that have a strong templating around money, they may struggle in the area of men and actual relationships as well. And sometimes that's also because the wounding around that particular area runs much deeper. So it's not to say that if your masculine template is fractured, it's going to be absolutely fractured in all those different ways, exactly the same. It varies from person to person because we have all experienced things differently and received them differently. So that's also something to bear in mind as well. So despite that, despite having a fractured masculine template, the truth is, it is your birthright to thrive in both your masculine and your feminine. For the feminine to relax and fully receive, the masculine must be allowed to show up. And this is why we connected with your inner masculine to ask, what do we need to do for him to show up more? When there's a wounded masculine, there's most certainly a wounded feminine, okay? And again, it's because the two of them go hand in hand. If the feminine doesn't trust to allow the masculine to step in, he becomes a wounded masculine. And she continues to be a wounded feminine, not trusting that he'll step in, because he's not going to be able to step in, because he can't step in, because she's doing it all, if that makes sense. And that's where we find women very much in the headspace, do, push, burn out. And it just doesn't feel good. But what it also does is it reinforces the belief system that they can't be provided for unless they do it themselves. They can't trust men. They can't trust themselves. You know, all of this really kind of misaligned, disconnected energy. But when you have the empowered feminine, she trusts and knows that no matter what, she is going to be provided for, that the masculine somewhere or another is going to show up, because he always has done, because he's always been allowed to. So even if you have struggled with your masculine, you can still get into that space of just allowing and seeing what unfolds from a space of curiosity as well. That's often the best way that I tell my clients to start, because often if they've been let down by the masculine in the past or felt abandoned by the masculine energy, that's what kind of helps to get that kind of energy going forward, is to have that curiosity of filing back, and I just relax and I tune into my needs and I allow myself to receive, and I'm building that relationship with my inner masculine. Let me observe, let me be curious and see what would happen if I allow my masculine to show up. Because when you have both of them in union, I'm telling you now, life becomes so much easier and so much more pleasurable. And you are allowed space and time to hone in on your feminine energy as well, to create those pleasurable moments also, even as a mom. Okay. So I've got another really juicy activity for you to do now. So you've tuned in to your inner masculine template, where it's at currently. Okay. Now I want you to, again, get in a really relaxed position, focus on your breathing again. And I want you to actually visualize, I want you to fantasize now with me, your vision for your ideal empowered masculine template, inner and outer. So how do you desire your inner masculine to feel? So let's take a few deep breaths. Close your eyes. And when you get into the zone with this, because this is where you get to play. Okay, you get to fantasize, you get to play, you get to make this how you desire, because the truth is, you have this power. You've always had it. You just don't use it. So, focusing on your breath. I just want you to go into a space where you allow yourself to visualize your own desirable inner masculine. I want you to feel and visualize how it feels to be supported by him, to feel safe, unconditionally loved, to feel the safe, secure, loving container of the masculine, to feel supported. What does he look like? What does he feel like? What does he do for you? How does he show up? Think about your external masculine. How does masculine energy show up for you? How does that feel? To know that any problems that may arise, there is a solution right there, ready and waiting for you to support you with. Can you feel into that? That sense of safety, security? This is your chance to play and have it your way. How does he show up for you? And ask yourself, how does masculine energy show itself to you? Because for some women, they visualize an actual man. For some, they visualize an energy. Allow your imagination to go wild with this, because it can show up in any way that feels good for you. As long as you can connect in with it. How does it feel to know that whatever you want, whatever you need, it's there? How does it feel to know you don't have to worry? How does it feel to know that you get to ask and it's given? How does that really deeply feel as a woman to trust your masculine, to allow yourself to receive the masculine? To have your whole mind, body, and soul penetrated by masculine energy, supporting you on such a deep cellular level. How does that feel? Allow yourself to sit and bathe into the energy. And when you're ready, still focusing on your breath, you can come back into the room. And as you're coming back into the room, you thank your masculine with love and gratitude for being there for you always. So that was Healing the Masculine template, and it gets to be as easy as that, okay? With this work, it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be deep, but it doesn't have to be complicated. That is something that my mission is for all of you, is to keep things as simple as possible. So I hope this has proved helpful. Remember, these activities that I've given you, these exercises, you can do as many times as you like. Remember to build the relationship with your inner masculine. Also, remember what is going on internally will always be reflected back. externally, okay? And go with this. Allow yourself to receive, even if it is just touching base and tuning in to your inner masculine 5 minutes a day or once a week or whatever feels right for you. The key here is to allow yourself to receive your inner masculine. My name is Samantha Francis. It has been a pleasure speaking to you all today, and we will speak again very, very soon. Bye-bye.